Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Tyler from the Unemployed Architects. This week, I'm going to be talking about my only show this last weekend in Pekin, Illinois, at the Twisted Spoke Saloon. So, a while back, I had a different show booked on this night, and it got canceled along with a handful of other shows by that place up in Morris that I've mentioned previously. And so the weekend actually was completely opened, and I marked off the Friday anyway because Sunday was Laura Lynn's birthday, so I wanted to do something maybe that Friday night to celebrate. And then I was thinking we're going to have, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday to kind of do stuff for her birthday since that Saturday show got canceled. But then Dave, the percussion player, he tagged me in a post that said that the Twisted Spoke Saloon was in need of a band for Saturday night, and I really needed the cash to kind of tide me over till the next paycheck because I had a lot of bills kind of adding up. So it was really fortunate for that to work out, and I was kind of grateful to have something happen. So, so Friday night we didn't have anything, and for Lo's birthday we decided to go see the double feature at the drive-in, at the Harvest Moon Drive-In in Gibson City, and we watched it, Chapter 1, Chapter 2 at the drive-in. It was a pretty long evening. I don't know that I recommend doing the double feature thing to most, because it was maybe if I hadn't seen both of them, because we had seen it at Chapter 1, so it might have been a little bit more. I might have had a little bit more attention span for it if I hadn't seen the first one, because I kind of knew everything that was happening. It was good to get a refresher in before the second one, but it was a little bit exhausting, I think, to make it all the way through that first one and then the second one, and then drive home. And we had a buddy of ours from Pontiac come, so I had to drive to Pontiac and then back to Bloomington, and then I had to work on Saturday, which I didn't really have to go in super early or anything, but covering a shift for somebody. And then from there, the show we played at the Twisted Spoke Saloon on Saturday was pretty late. It was 9 to 1. It was 4 hours, which was long. And of course, Lo's birthday was at midnight that night, so she wasn't necessarily as pumped about it. But I think once we got going and stuff, she was happy to be there. And everybody likes the money that comes from playing, so that's nice. And it was Lo, me, and Dave. So and he brought like a huge setup because it was like a legit stage, and they had their own sound guy and lights and everything. And we got some good pictures from the show, which was definitely nice. But anyway, so this was kind of a thing I wanted to talk about for a while, probably. We ended up and used the house sound, which we aren't really used to doing because a lot of places we have to bring our own sound, and I'm used to doing it my way, and using my mics. I have a little vocal monitor I usually use so I can hear. I don't have to over-sing to hear my vocals through a floor monitor, and I keep it consistent so I know what to expect, and I know kind of how to utilize the equipment to its, I think, max potential. And so I pretty much had to forget all that for the show because the sound guy wasn't he kept getting feedback from pretty much all my gear, which I don't know why, because I've used that stuff 1,000 times. I don't really have any issues with it. I changed all the gain setting, changed a lot of the mixes of them, and then eventually I had to switch out my mic for his mic even. So it was first it was the vocal monitor he didn't like, so I got rid of that. Then it was the vocal pedal he didn't like, got rid of that. And then it was the vocal mic. And there was still a little bit of feedback even after that. So it wasn't even, I think, my gear. I just don't. Anyway, it just wasn't really jiving with what he had going on. And of course, we were trying to make it easy on everybody. And in general, it was a lot easier for us even because we didn't have to bring a full sound setup and set every part of it up. They had their built-in PA, so it was kind of nice that way. But but yeah, so, and it was 4 hours, so I was definitely a little weary I used Beta 58 for my vocals, and, I think it sounded good. I watched some video, and it sounded decent, but I was just so uncomfortable the whole time. I don't know how people do that with the floor monitors and not hearing the vocal. It's just like, it sounded pretty much like I was underwater. Like, I don't know if my ears are just bad or what, because usually I have the vocal monitor up next close to it's a lot closer to my face and just my vocals coming out of there. So, and I push a lot of like mids and highs in that little monitor. Not that it even has a lot of low end, but that way, I can really hear my vocals. It really cuts through, and I don't have to like push very hard to sing. I can just kind of, which I think in general, I think I've mentioned this before, no matter what, when you sing through a microphone, you kind of adjust the way you're using your voice to kind of make it work with whatever's going on, the room, the mic, the sound system, all that stuff, and how it like mixes with the guitar. I think that you do a lot of stuff kind of unconsciously, throughout that time. But so yeah, it was just super uncomfortable for me because I felt like I was singing underwater. My voice had been pretty rough for that the whole week before, just real raspy. I think the weather changing had something to do with it, so I was a little nervous we haven't done a 4-hour set in a while, so it was a little daunting in the back of my head, and of course I stayed out too late the night before with the drive-in, and then the show was late, and I had to work, so it was a lot of extra stress there, and but overall, I think we got a lot of good feedback, and I don't feel like I sounded my best, but we kind of made do, and the people that were there seemed to enjoy it. But there weren't a lot of people there. That was definitely kind of a drag. It sounded good, had a nice setup, nice light setup as well, and we got a lot of good pictures, which was cool because we don't really get a lot of pictures a lot of times from a guy that came in to shoot the concert. It wasn't really our doing. He just kind of does it for fun, so that was definitely a bonus for sure. And like I said, the people that were there, they were super nice and very, very complimentary. And I think that there was some festival going on in town, and the band that was supposed to play at the Twisted Spoke ended up playing at that festival. That's what they double booked with. So, but the festival apparently just took the draw completely with it. So, it wasn't very busy pretty much all night, and everybody kept saying like, yeah, usually it's like super packed here, and usually it's really busy, but tonight it's not. And there's not really a lot we could do about it since this is our first time playing in Pekin. We don't have really any fans in that area, I don't think. Hopefully now we have a couple, but anyway, so it was an interesting night. Again, I'm just not sure. Because Blair, the other guy who sings with me on occasion, not as much anymore, obviously, but he always uses Beta 58, and he has his vocal pedal, but I've sound checked that a bunch of times and kind of gotten a similar vibe. I don't think it sounded as muffled as this last Saturday, but I feel like it's so hard to sing that way for me for some reason. Maybe it's just because I'm used to using the vocal monitors. And then, of course, like, I felt like everything was super dry. Like, not enough effect, especially I don't think there was any effect in the monitor. So the only effect I could really hear was, out from the front. So I could hear, like, some delay once in a while. But for the most part, couldn't really even hear that. So it's just like a super dry, and when you're hearing it back, like shot back to you with that super dry signal, I don't know. There's just something about it that isn't as fun, with the effects. Even if it's just some verb on the monitor side. It just melts everything together so much better. I feel like it makes you able to hear yourself better and hit the notes better, but that wasn't the case. So anyway, it was just kind of uncomfortable, but kick drum sounded really good that night, and my foot tambourine slash tap shoe. I mean, I didn't need to mic it or anything. It just cut through real nice. And then Dave got to play his, I think he had 4 congas, 2 bongos, and a couple cymbals and his cowbell. So, I mean, he had a pretty full setup as well. And then Lo just did exactly what I did direct in with, she used the Sennheiser that I brought, but for some reason the guy there wasn't a fan of those mics for some reason, which I thought was strange because I think that's a pretty common brand. And the reason I use the mic I use is because I just kept noticing like every professional band that I like uses that same mic, so I thought there must be something to that. So that's the reason I bought it in the first place. It's a nice mic. But I use like the upgraded kind of more professional one, like that I think it's E945, and then Lo uses like the 935 or something. So I mean they're both pretty legit mics. So I don't really know what I know the system was maybe set up for the Beta 58s, but I mean I wouldn't think that it would be that hard to dial in a different mic. But apparently I must be just crazy. I think I'm kind of nuts anyway, so I just get so caught up in the gear part of it that I don't know. I just feel like some sound guys are willing to just do whatever with whatever, and then some sound guys like just to do it their way, and you kind of are at the mercy of the sound guy when they're there. And for us, we're not really used to that, we're just kind of at the mercy of me most of the time because I'm doing the sound and I'm trying to make it sound as good as possible. So, it's like a double-edged sword. Like, it's great to have somebody that knows what they're doing behind the board and can make you sound good out front, but it's a different thing than, doing sound and doing sound yourself and making sure that you sound good on your side as well as the other side. And because we had to change out all that gear, like we did that like last minute, it wasn't really dialed in great right away, so that was partially why it was a little extra uncomfortable. And I feel like the response to the mics that they were using was just different than mine. So I felt like I couldn't really, like the mic position I had to be in different spots. And then with the floor monitors, to hear it just right, I had to like move my head in certain ways. And then I felt like I couldn't hit my low notes very good all night because of that. I felt like it was just muddy in the monitors in general, but we didn't have really enough time to really try to get a good monitor mix. We were just trying to make it not feed back. And like I said, even after we changed all my gear out, it was still feeding back, but we just kind of ignored it for the rest of the night. It was definitely really loud. That is for sure. I've been worrying about my hearing a little bit more lately. I feel like I've have a little extra ringing in the ears, which isn't good, of course. So I don't know if I'm just being paranoid or my ears just need a little bit of a break, but I don't know. Maybe I just need to invest in some in-ear monitors and just have that be what I use from now on so it doesn't get any worse, but I don't really know what I'll do. I just feel like quiet shows are one thing, but when you add the extra percussion that Dave does, and then, in confined spaces, I just feel like my ears are taking a beating sometimes. I really try to make the volume kind of as low as possible, because it's easier to perform that way anyway. It's not as fun necessarily, but if you can, manage at a lower volume, I feel like everybody wins, kind of. So yeah, and then Sunday was Lo's birthday, so not really band related, but we ended up cooked out in the park, Miller Park Zoo. They have a park there, and grilled out some food, hung out with some people. We then went to the zoo and we kind of had to rush through it, but we walked through, and there was a Hare Krishna event going on, kind of down in the same park, so we went and listened to some of the music there and saw some of it was like almost like a little festival carnival type thing for the Hare Krishna, whatever that. I'm honestly not super sure what that even is. I think it's a religion of some sort, but So that was interesting as well, and the people were super nice there. They kept offering us food, free food and stuff like that, which was nice, but it's just nice to, experience something a little different like that. But anyway, so that was pretty much it for the weekend. Got some shows coming up this weekend. We're at the Windjammer here Friday night in Bloomington, and then Saturday we're at the Chicago Highlands Country Club. So that'll be an interesting one. So for some reason, I think we got double booked at the Windjammer, which was like maybe the 14th time. It's been a lot of times, but luckily they are, at least, because what happens when they double book us a lot is they just cancel us and have whoever else. But at least this time they're just going to do both shows. So they're going to have 6 to 9 outside with a friend of ours, which might be kind of cool because we'll get to go watch him for a little bit, and that's kicking and picking. And then from 9 to 11 we'll play inside for to close out the night. So that'll be, I'm not really sure how that'll go, but like I said, we might get to see a little bit of kicking and picking, so that might be fun. And then Saturday, it's a brand new place, and the guy up north that books for me, or for us rather, he booked it, so I'm interested to see how that goes. It's one of those Venmo deals though, so I won't get paid. It's a good paying gig, but I won't get paid for like a week, and then I'll probably have to start bugging people about it at some point, which is always not super ideal. I'd rather just have a check or cash in my hand when we leave, but kind of just have to make do. But since it is a good paying show, it'll be worth the wait, I think. So anyway, that's kind of what I have coming up. And if you made it, as always, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you listening, and have a good rest of your week.